Hey everyone, today we're looking at a timed plus 16 Maisara Caverns that I was able to do on the second week of Midnight Season 1. This was a fairly good run overall. I did make a couple of mistakes on one of the bosses, which we'll point out there. One of them, I think it was unwarranted, and I think the game was cheating me. The other one, I definitely screwed up. But there's a lot of good stuff going on in here, and hopefully there's going to be some things I can point out that are helpful for me going forward and helpful for anyone that's watching. Looks like I make a last minute change to my spec. I dropped Nurturing Dormancy for another point in Thriving Vegetation. It's just kind of done on a whim to see what happens. I think my rationale was there's a lot of constant ticking damage where I may not get the hot extension that I want, so using the extra time on the regrowth hot is going to be really good for getting more value out of my improved regrowth talent for that crit. That's kind of what I was thinking about, but we're moving into the first pack, which is going to be a Lust pack, and I target the Hulking Juggernaut because it has the main mechanics that I need to worry about. So it has the Rending Gore, which is the tank buster, so you always want to watch the tank's health on that and send a defensive, or an external rather, if they are looking like they're vulnerable. And then he's got the Shout that's coming up, so Deafening Roar is going to lock you out, you don't want to be casting during it, and it's a group-wide AoE. One of the ways that I like to deal with it is to cast a Swift Mend right before the Shout goes off, so I have my Soul of the Forest buff, and then consume that using a Rejuve right after, and it'll give, as long as you have your Life Bloom up, it'll give you a big burst of group-wide healing. Alternatively, what you can do is you can always send something like your Convoke or your Trank if you really need. It looks like that's the majority of the first pull. There's a bunch of tusks in the ground and in the huts in this place that block line of sight. It's really annoying, so just try and be mindful about that when you're playing with your team. Now we're just kind of cleaning up here. The Berserkers are soothable, and the Headhunters are one of the targets where you can use your Vortex to grip them in. They like to jump out of melee and then throw spears at people. Grip helps mitigate that. Cool. So we get the prisoners. We're going on to the next pack, which is going to be across the river, and it's going to be another Hulking Juggernaut. So same thing as last time. You want to protect your tank during the Rending Gore. He should have cooldowns available. He shouldn't be too vulnerable, at least for the first one, but that's what I'm thinking about for Ironbark. And so Rending Gore went out. I need to be prepping my team with Hots for the Deafening Roar. Roar comes out. Let's see if I Swiftmend, consume it with the Soul of the Forest, with a Rejuve, and we're topped. Things that you can do to help your team in this pack, you can Shout to stop the Shadow Bolts and the Hex cast. And you always have Vortex to push and pull when you compare it with Typhoon. But the Hulking Juggernaut went down, and we're just doing cleanup. Next pull is going to be into the house. There's not really too many new or different mobs in there. It's just some Berserkers. I think there's a Caster, and there's a Headhunter or two. Again, it's a good spot for you to use your Ursul's Vortex to stop the Headhunter from jumping out of melee. But outside of that, it's just watching line of sight around the pillars, keeping your tank up. The tanks do seem to take quite a bit of damage in this pull, so it's a good place to send your Ironbark if you think that they're going to be vulnerable, if you can see that they're running out of cooldowns, and things like that. So yeah, our tank's been on Red Stagger. I'm thinking here about sending a Ironbark on him pretty soon, but I think he's probably gonna fort. Okay, he clears his Stagger, so we're good. And he sends 4 Bro, yeah, so he's chilling. Most of the mobs are dying, and I don't think I'm going to need to send anything else to help him. I do notice that I'm overhealing a bit. I sent Wild Growth when I didn't really need to. I'm sending some Consumed Soul of the Forest on extra hots that I don't really need. I could be DPSing. But you know, it just makes me feel a little bit better when I'm it makes me feel a little bit better when I'm healing to keep hots on the group. I'll probably have to stop doing that when I min-max everything, but so going into the next pack, let's see where we're going. Okay, cool. So we're getting 2 eagles on here and a bunch of headhunters. The eagles will do a thing where they target someone and jump on them and do like a slash, a melee slash that is stoppable. One way you can stop it is with Ursul's Vortex. Another way that you can stop it is with your in-cap roar. And you can also stop it with your Typhoon. So I'm always mindful. So yeah, there's the Talons. Looks like I in-cap. Great. There's another one. I push it. Great. I need a health pot or health stone or something. Yeah, cool. Looking at it now, I don't think I was respecting the damage that this pack does to the group well enough. I wasn't prepped for as much group-wide damage as was going out. I was more focused on controlling the eagles. I think as I get higher and higher in the keys, it might be, you know, maybe I'll start to trust my team to do that, but for now, that's kind of what was going on. Okay. One of the big points that I want to make is just always keeping your life bloom up. I bet you I let it drop here, right? As I'm making the point now, last second. Always keep your life bloom up, just because it's so important to get the value out of your Apex talents. Cool. Pack is dying. We're gonna free the prisoners, and we're gonna be going. I don't remember if we go on to the boss or if we have another Juggernaut that we have to fight. So let's see. I probably could have been faster on some of my crowd control for the Eagles. I wish that I had some of the old, I think it was a weak aura that let me see sort of mob timers for when they were going to cast things. But, you know, this is the age that we live in. Cool. Alright, so we're pulling a Mask, and we're pulling a Juggernaut. This is kind of a big pull. We got some Headhunters in there, too. Cool. So, I need to stabilize myself. Good job. Rending Doors going out, so we know that there's a shout coming soon. I probably want to Convoke. Let's see here. Yeah. So this is a really scary pack. I should have used the defensive earlier on. So that's a good learning point for me, just to help mitigate some of the damage, because you don't want to be in a position where your team is hurt going into the roar, and you find yourself like casting and get locked out on accident. There's some Berserkers that are in there. I could be soothing. Next roar goes out. I did not have anything for that, so that was really scary. I should do a better job about saving my Swiftmend in this pack. Again, the rationale for that is if you use your Swiftmend, you get the Soul of the Forest proc. Soul of the Forest proc does massive life bloom healing to your whole party. So you can use your Soul of the Forest as both a single target and a group sort of AoE heal. It's very versatile and very powerful. Other things that are really nice with consuming your Soul of the Forest with Rejuvenation is that it gives you three hots on the party, which gives you 3 stacks of abundance. So it helps decrease your mana cost for any like future regrowths as well. So particularly when you're running Nurturing Dormancy, using your Swiftmend on cooldown with Rejuvenation helps a lot with your mana economy. Okay, we're going on to the first boss here. So one trick that I learned that I use in this boss is that when the bird boss does her animation to cast the feathers out, once she finishes the animation, the circle will resolve under her, and it's a safe place for you to stand. She won't spawn feathers where, like, underneath her. So I think I position myself on the edge of the circle when she casts it, and then just move into where she was standing. So all you have to do is be mindful of whether or not there's any traps there. Okay, so here comes the Quill Storm, goes out, I move under the boss, and no swirlies underneath me. So that was awesome. Move away from that. I need to pop Convoke because too many people were getting hit by the sort of quills that she shoots out. I don't know if the Evoker had scales up for that or not. I didn't see that they used it, but I don't know if it was available. Cool. This boss is relatively simple. It's pretty much just keeping your team hotted up. Again, with all of the constant ticking damage, it's why I swapped out of Nurturing Dormancy. I think it worked out pretty well. Here comes the circles. Be mindful of the traps. Move to the bird. No swirlies for you to dodge, and you're good. I dispelled a little too early. I should have saved it for the Warlock, but we're okay. Pally probably could have helped me with that too. I think Pallies have a poison dispel, but kind of rinsing and repeating. Tank was looking a little hurt, so I sent him my Iron Bark. Pinions come out, blanket with Hots. I'm really letting Rejuve do the heavy lifting on this boss. And as far as a 16 goes, looks like we're, pretty okay doing that. Circle comes out, step out of the circle, move back to the bird where it's safe, and we're good. This was bad on me. I didn't realize that I had the mechanic, so I should have stayed put. I think I chained it over onto the paladin or the monk, whoever was on the left. I get the frost mechanic, eat the debuff, or eat the trap rather, and get broken out, and we're good. Altogether, this is a really uneventful boss. I think we're gonna have one more circle. So this is a good example of be mindful that there's 4 traps right underneath her. Oh, someone popped it. That is not what was supposed to happen. Cool. And let's see, bird goes down. And the hunter boss goes down. So really good. When I learned that trick about positioning underneath the bird after she casts the quills out, that was like a game changer. So hopefully that's a good tip for anyone watching. Cool, so now we're making our way into the next room, and one of the things that I think is really important to point out for healers is these sort of mobs. I think they're called skirmishers. Yeah, the Grim Skirmishers that have the shield. So the way that they work is once their shield pops, they do a big burst of damage to the team. And there's a number of ways you can deal with it, right? You can damage it down and have it kind of pop during the middle of the fight. Or you can have someone spell steal it or purge, because I believe it's a buff that's on them. This group didn't have a spell steal or a purge that we were using, so the main thing that had my attention was 1, my party frames for the health of my group, but 2, I'm looking at those shields to see when are they going to pop. It's a perfect time to use a defensive, and it's also a really good time to send a throughput cooldown, be it your Trank or your Convoke the Spirits, because you're going to see we have a whole bunch that we have to pull through out here, and the group kind of just kills them when they kill them, and it can actually be like a life-threatening amount of damage that goes out, and you really need to be topping it up. It feels very sort of reminiscent of like paladins from Priory of the Sacred Flame. But we pull the mini-boss. This group is kind of spoiled. We have a Ret Pally and a Brewmaster, where the Ret Pally can freedom people out of this, and the Brewmaster can Tiger's Lust people out of this. So you should be, well, at least in this group, we were golden in terms of dealing with the sort of trap mechanic. Nothing else really going on in this pull. So we got some more mobs. There's no shields for me to deal with. So the one thing I could be doing to help my team out is I could be in-capping the Spirit Bolts or whatever it's called that go out. Just the sort of cast that leave the magic debuff. Yep, Pally's out. He uses freedom. Good job on him. I'm keeping the team a little bit over-hotted. Well, actually, I'm doing pretty good. I don't have too much coverage. Looks like we're pulling a Tormented Shade again. Okay, good. If that cast goes out, it does leave a dot that you need to dispel. Cool. And it looks like the wow, there was so much help right there. I didn't notice that at the time, but he got Tiger's Lusted Blessing of Freedom, and the Evoker rescued him. That was the safest Warlock in the world. When the reanimated warriors die, they do this reanimation cast. If it goes off, you'll have to fight him again. Ooh, big pack, 4 skirmishers. Let's see how we deal with this. I should be pre-hotting my group because I know that bad stuff is going to be happening soon. And I want to bark skin, but I want to make sure I don't bark skin too early. So that's what I'm watching right now. The tank is reasonably safe. Yeah, bark skin. No, I didn't. Cool. I was thinking about it. Changed my mind. Yep, bark skinning now. And I'm probably going to Convoke if I had to guess. Let's see. Yikes, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, so that's a perfect example where if I didn't Convoke when I did there, and if I didn't have adequate hot coverage, probably a lot of people would have died. In my opinion, it would have been on completely on the DPS for killing them all at the same time. Like, that's not your fault. But when everyone dies, everyone's going to say that it was the healer's fault, and that's just kind of, that's our life. That's what we signed up for. But that's how you mitigate it. I'll probably have Convoke up for our next pack of those guys, and I still am sitting on my Trank. Debuff's going out. Dispel it on the Paladin, leave it on myself because I've got plenty of mitigation. I could be in there. I really could be in there and getting some bleeds out. Yeah, good job. Get in there. One thing that I've been commenting on in a lot of my other videos is I need to just get Heart of the Wild on cooldown. Although I will say, one thing to note about Heart of the Wild is while it is our biggest DPS cooldown, you can also use it as a defensive if you need to. When you use Heart of the Wild in bear form, you get like 30% or something like that increased stamina. Wow, this is a lot of skirmishers. Okay, so let's see what I'm gonna do. Looks like I innervated myself, so I have a free ramp going on. When you see that shrink come out, you can mitigate the shrink, or stop the shrink rather, by incapping it. Looks like we're about to burst here. I should bark skin and then Convoke. Yep. Big damage. Probably Trank. Nope, don't need a Trank. Good. It looks like I got a big heal from Pally. Looks like maybe Lay on Hands. That was a very dangerous pull. Wow, we did great. But yeah, Heart of the Wild, you can use it as a defensive, because if you use it in bear form, then shift back into caster form, it will, you'll keep the HP increase for the duration of the buff, which I think is something like 30 seconds or something, but it's worthwhile, especially when you compare it with, when you can pair it with something like Bark Skin if you have the Absorb Shield. It's a lot of extra HP. Cool. So now we're just topping up the group, dodging the tornadoes. I should be in there spreading some bleeds, but you know, this was I think my second attempt at this on the 15 or 16 level. So I really wanted to play conservative to time it. I tend to be a lot more aggressive when I'm in my own resilient key than I am when I'm in like a prod key trying to get key level or IO. Alright, cool. Another big skirmisher pack. So again, we're going to use what we learned last time, right? Our big bursts are going to be, or things that we can do. We pre-hot the group, Maybe when we think they're gonna die, we pre-Swift Mend if we have it available, so we can use our Apex talent and Convoke and Trank. I don't know what I'm gonna have to send here. Let's see. Probably Barkskin. Oh, don't. Ooh, that's scary. Let's see if I. Yeah, that was actually really sloppy by me. Our team helped pull it out. Something went off that gave us a whole bunch of shields. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it was the Og, maybe it was the Pally or something like that. Or the Warlock. I don't know where that came from, but that really helped save us. That knock was a very... oh god, 2 of them. Wow. Really bad play on this pack by me. Awesome by my team. Yeah, okay, cool. In-cap the Warriors. I probably push them. Do I push them? No, team gets it. Yeah, really awesome help by my team right there. They helped carry me on that pack. That's a very dangerous pack, and again, it just goes to show how you really have to respect the shields popping on the skirmishers. When I had played this a couple of times with a group of friends with like a shaman or a mage, and they would pop everything right off the bat, I almost prefer that, or at least a controlled demolition of the mobs, rather than having to sort of anticipate it and time it correctly during combat. If you could have someone like cleanse them one at a time as the group gets healed up, that would be probably the most ideal. That was a scary pack. But we did well. So we're coming up to this boss. I'll give you the spoilers. I died twice in this encounter. One of them I don't think was justified. I think I said that in the intro. But really poor play on my end. The first one I think was, Blizzard just having a bad game coded. And then the second one was my fault because I was panicking, trying to catch up, thinking that I broke the key. But, so, Vordaza does a lot of tank damage up front. I just like to make sure that I have the group pre-hotted as much as I can to help with, like, the soul drain and everything. This fight is just a constant rot fight, so just lots of rejuves. You're going to want to make sure you Wild Growth and Swift Mend on cooldown. Kind of similar to the skirmishers that we talked about. When these guys pop, they do big damage to the group, so you want to make sure you have something available. So 1 pre-hots, and then 2, that's a really great time to use your Soul of the Forest proc to heal up the team. So it should be Wild Growth, Swift Mend, probably Rejuve to help get our hot coverage out. Perfect. Yeah, so this is where I died the first time. That guy was like 12, he was like 12 feet ahead of me. There's no way I touched that, but that is what it is. When you die as a Resto Druid, you can find yourself really far behind if you don't have like hot coverage out. So that's why I was using my Trank right there to try and catch up until I could get my Swift Mend out to, Swift Mend, Rejuve to help spread my hots. But we recover. I was a little bit shaken at the time, so I think I let my play deteriorate. And I think one of the team members on the next one was out of range of me, and that's why I was moving around, but we'll see. Okay, ads come out. The close ones should pop. I need to get my Life Bloom out. Yeah, 100% Life Bloom uptime is going to be really important on this encounter. Cool. Alright, next set of Phantoms are coming out. Oh, these guys are kind of close together. Send my Convoke. Yeah. was out of range of the Warlock. That's why I was moving around. And I think I just eat an orb. Let's see here. Yep, that was just really bad play on my end. There's no real excuses for that. I get popped up, I throw my Life Bloom out and immediately use my Soul of the Forest proc for some healing. Get more coverage. So the boss goes down, we have 2 deaths, both of them were me. We still have 1 res available. I don't know when the next one's coming online, but it definitely feels bad. And unfortunately, there's not like a lot to learn from that other than, you know, just be better. So we're pulling another pack, a lot of skirmishers here. I have my Convoke available and I have my Bark Skin, so let's see what I do. It's like I'm pre-hotting the group, should be good. The first set of skirmishers are gonna pop now, so I should Bark Skin. I didn't, that was a bad play. And that was a very late Convoke. I didn't need to do that. I can tell that I did that because I didn't want the Evoker to die, and I was hoping that it would pop him up, pop his health up a lot faster. But that was a waste, considering we have another pack of these guys right after. And I don't remember in this key if he grabs the stuff off to the left or not. Looking at percent, he probably does. Okay, pre-hot in the group. Getting out hots for or dots for some reason. Bark Skin, cool. And Swift Mend, let's do that, right? I should have Swift Mended a global earlier. It's a lot easier to, you know, look and sort of criticize what I was doing on the back end, as compared to in the moment, but definitely the pre-Swift Mend would have been the play. So for these bound defenders, there's not really much going on. I don't go in melee when we do this pack just because I don't like the risk reward just isn't there for me. I probably could jump in right now. There's not a lot of damage going out before the tornadoes spawn, put out some dots and then just like dip back into range, but like I said, on a prog sort of score key, I play a lot, like, very conservatively. Cool, I think the tank gets knocked here. Yep. I was confused at the time. I was like, what happened? Because the tank just like disappears, but yeah, he got knocked by one of the tornadoes. It kind of works out for me, just because I was running low on mana and I needed to drink. I didn't have time to catch up on mana after the boss fight. So we're running up the stairs now. Pre-hot your team. I put my Life Bloom on myself for this, but pre-hot your team. Use your movement abilities, and don't worry about like using your cooldowns because you need a lot of throughput to heal this guy. He does a ton of damage. I should start spamming regrowths, yeah. I need to do a better job of checking out his health though, to make sure I don't send cooldowns unnecessarily towards the end of his life. Cool, and we're coming on to the last boss. Again, this is a big rot fight. I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with my Life Bloom on this fight, depending on what spec I'm running at the time. The tanks do take quite a bit of damage, so I've been alternating between leaving it on the tank versus keeping it on myself. In more recent keys, I actually swapped off of Harmonious Blooming, which is the triple mastery stack from Life Bloom, so the tank doesn't get as much value out of it. The reason why I do that is I try to position myself to be close to the ranged That gives me two big benefits. It's like one, I'm closer to the range so that it makes stacking the totems a lot easier, and then two, it lets me position my efflorescence where more people may be able to stand in it. That gives, you know, one, the ground healing, and then two, it gives the potential for symbiotic blooms to form on them, which is an extra hot, plus it's an extra mastery stack, and it's free. And when it bursts, it's free healing too, so lots of reasons for that. I don't know, I'm still figuring that out on my end. But we heal all the rot damage, we're going into the sort of next phase of the fight where we have to do the gauntlet. Our team's doing a good job of getting all of the movement speed buffs, so we don't really have to worry about that. If you do need to, you can Typhoon them or you can incap them. As I'm running around in there, I tend to throw out some hots. Boss is taking the damage amp. This is a good time to use your Heart of the Wild ability. Help get some more damage out. I was really tempted to send a cat convoke right there just to get extra damage on the boss, but I restrained. Every time that I do that, every time that I do this phase, I think about all of the extra damage I could get, but then I kind of peel back and think about, you know, I might need it for healing throughput instead, and at the end of the day, that's more important. On a lower key, like a 12 or something, I'll probably just send it just for the fun of having bigger damage numbers. Cool, stomps come out, we stack the totems. I think we did a pretty good job of stacking them up. Yeah, there's one off to the side, but not terrible. I set my Nature Swiftness on a solo heal. That wasn't the best. I didn't talk about it too much in this key, but using a Swift Mend Nature Swiftness Regrowth is a super powerful mini healing cooldown that you can use. It'll pretty much top 3 people up in your group from like 20 to 100%. Ooh, that's looking a little scary. That was a panic trank. I actually like Convoke the Spirits a lot more than Trank as a healing cooldown on a Rot fight, just because you get all of those extra hots out, and you end up with like, you know, 9 stacks of abundance, which means you can just spam your group with Regrowth for free, and with like 100% crit. I don't know if anyone got that last sort of shade thing that you can interrupt, but my thought was the boss was almost dead. I bet you it dies right here. Yeah, so we're in the damage amp phase. He's going down. I think I catvoked there and then went for my Feral Frenzy, but cool. So that is the key. It was really good to watch that back. I think I learned a lot about just preparing for the skirmishers and how their shield is going to go down. That's probably like worth talking with your group about ahead of the key to say, hey, how are we going to do this? Just so you know what to expect from a healing perspective and how to manage your cooldowns. I had 2 deaths, which was unfortunate, but hey, we timed it, right? So that was the key. I hope you guys learned something. I know I did. If you liked it, feel free to drop a like or subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cool, thanks.